Hello, welcome to Birthing the Gifts. I am clinical psychologist Dr. Khiela Holmes. Here at Birthing the Gifts, we provide a safe and compassionate space to grow your God-given gifts. In this interview series, we discuss the process of giving birth to your gifts. Today, we have with us Honesty Shepard. Honesty!
Hello.
Welcome, man. Y'all, I've been with Honesty on here for so long. I'm like, Honesty, we've been talking about this, or I've been talking about it for at least a year. I'm like, Honesty, I gotta come on. I gotta talk to you. I have to talk about your process. So I appreciate you coming
Oh
on.
Lord.
Also, Honesty. So we may have different directions we're gonna go into today, but Honesty, y'all, Honesty be hooking me up with my hair and everything, knowing I don't. Honestly, I always tell people I'm just real like low maintenance. I want to be able to have my hair, don't want to have a lot to do with it and everything. So you be hooking me up. Since I've probably moved back here since 2010 or so.
My
I've
pleasure.
been knowing you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So honestly, so obviously people know maybe they can tell by the background what you do, what your passion is. So, but if you could maybe put it in your own words, like what you feel like, what is it like that's your gift, your passion?
Wow. In my own words.
And your own is what you say, because I guess I can say like, okay, she's a stylist, she's a hairstylist, she does is cosmetology, she's in a natural hair. Like I can just say those different words, but like what
Mhm.
words would you
Well,
say?
yeah, I think that that's just a vehicle, like the cosmetology and the natural hair part of it. But honestly, I think my gift is to like how would I say, like, not understanding people, but like the empathy and the um creating like a safe space. I really feel like I create a safe space for people, whether it's a, safe space just to rest or talk or,
Mm-hmm.
get something out and get their hair done. So I really think, because I really think that's my gift.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
That's
I
awesome.
would say. Hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, and y'all, I can attest to that. I think that's why I keep going back to honesty. I'm like, man, because I mean, that is true. That is true. And I don't know how many like hairstylists probably think about it like that or whatever, but I agree. I agree that you create that safe space. So then it's just
Yeah.
kind of coming out when people are sharing. But at what point did you realize? So maybe we could talk about it from the empathy lens as well, and kind of understanding people and also cosmetology. But at what point in your life did you realize, hey, cosmetology may be this vehicle, or this is a path that I want to go down?
Well, actually, I realized it young, but I let outside influences and my own mentality and just negative thoughts keep me away from it, because I can remember having a Cabbage Patch doll, one of the cornfield Cabbage Patch, and doing individual braids on my cornfield Cabbage Patch in junior high school. So that's
Yeah.
like that was terrible. I remember doing micro braids on my dolls. So I really feel like it started young, but I never thought that I could be a hairstylist.
Mm.
Because
Interesting. What was that about, you think? Yeah, because this one, let me just take a step back before I ask you that, because part of this, it's a process conversation series, is helping people to understand that exact thing that you may know at a certain time, maybe as a young child, even that this is what I'm passionate about. At least I enjoy it, right? That language may not have been there for passionate or my purpose or something like that, but people know like I really enjoy this. Maybe this is a direction I want to go down, but like some things can get in the way and present a barrier to going down that path. But what do you think that was for you to make you kind of say, I don't know if I could be a hairstylist?
well, I know exactly what it was. It was because sometimes we get ideas in our head on what we think something is or what it looked like. And so for me, all the hairstylists I knew, they were like jazzy and like trendy and stylish and just, and I was like, okay, I'm not that. Like, I don't care about all the trends and stuff. So I thought that that didn't fit me. And it's so crazy, but it wasn't until like I was grown out of college, because I would even braid people and do people hair in college. Like, And so it wasn't until I was grown, till I came back and I was working at Blue Cross and Shield. And I remember I went to Popeyes and I saw some people from Arkansas College of Barbering coming in. And I was like, hold on, they not trendy, they not style. I just felt like, oh, you could do this. And that was the first thing that let me know I could do it. I know that.
Wow, wow, look at that. So sometimes we have an image in our head of what this is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
What a hairstylist is supposed to look like, or whatever it is we want to do. And then we feel like, I don't look like that.
Yeah.
I don't present that way. So that means I can't do it because I don't fit it. Because I don't fit it. Wow, I don't fit it. And then but you had that moment where you saw that, man, I wonder that doesn't sound like that's a coincidence there. But like, how did you have that moment?
Yeah, that's why I think it's important that representation matters. We have to be able to see ourselves in things.
Yeah, so we can see that we can do it too. Okay. So you saw, so in that moment, you were just like out and about. Were you like on your lunch break or something? Or just
I was actually on my lunch break and a group of them came in there and I was like, hold on, I could do that.
How did you know that that's where they were from?
Because they had the ACB jackets on. They had their uniforms on.
Okay. Wow. And then you realized.
ACB, like, and that's why I went to barber school.
Oh, you did. Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. So that's where it started. So really, you said you knew from when, at least in middle school, like you can go back at least to middle school, where that's what you were doing.
Yeah,
did hair.
Junior high school. Yeah.
You say even before junior high school?
That's I could, like, elementary. I remember cutting my hair in elementary because it was in my face. Like, yeah, I can remember early.
Honesty, you cut your hair?
A couple of times, like. And one time it was like, I don't know if you remember Chinese berries, but I wanted to do something different. So it was like I started here but came over here. So it was like a thing. And it's actually, we ended up having to go like on a family reunion. So it's like a picture of it too.
So it's documentation of this thing. Like you did do that.
Yes, I did that.
Get in trouble for doing that.
Probably, but not big trouble. Like, whatever.
Okay. So you started, it sounds so you started on your own hair, but then you eventually went to the cabbage patch.
Yes.
Okay. Oh wow, look at that. Yeah, but you know what? I think that's important. I think for people to know that it can date all the way back to when people are young and in elementary school, that they realize, really on some level, I knew even back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do, because I really feel like we are born with certain, leaning towards certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. So clearly you were, but you like, I'm just gonna start right here on my own head. Wow. Okay. So you started on your own hair, went to the cabbage patch. So let's just kind of fast forward. So when you were like you were working your job, you were on your lunch break, you saw a group of people where you're like, hey, like can do that too. Like it was like it represented something for you.
Yeah.
What was your next step after that, right? And the reason why I ask this is sometimes people notice they remember a turning point, and sometimes it's even hard for people to move beyond that, right? Like they realize I can do it, but then it does take some action after that. So for you, what was your next step after you realized, I can do that too?
Well, it was actually like a couple of quick steps, like right in succession. What happened was I was attending church, and I honestly I felt like I heard God told me to go to hair school. Like I felt like I heard it clear because I was going to Fellowship of Champions, and they were from Northwest Arkansas, and at the time they were in Conway, and I just felt God say, go to hair school. Somebody need to do their hair. Like I felt that.
Wow.
And so, but at the time, like I said, I was working full time. My son was young, and so I never finished college. So I went. I said, okay, I'm gonna go back to school. I had went and filled out the financial aid, but I didn't move forward because I didn't know what path I wanted to take. And I said, well, I don't want to go back to school and not know exactly what I want to do. And so when I felt God say go to hair school, I called up the hair schools and I got their school code, so because I already had the financial aid and I just sent the code, to the financial aid. But at the time I was working from like 6:30 to 2:30 or 3, I can't remember. And I would have been going to barber school in the evenings from either 4 or 5 to 9 o'clock. And Saturdays were mandatory and it was for 18 months. And at the time, I was the only one, caring for my son here. His father lived out of state. So I didn't feel comfortable being away from him that long. And
Right.
so, but what ended up happening was my mother got sick and I had a cousin that was dying. And I went to DC for a month and I didn't have any accrued time. And so when I got back, Chance had an accident on a basketball court, and I needed to leave to take him, but I didn't have any more PTO. And so they told me basically if I left, then I would be fired. And so I was like, well, I'm gone. So
Right.
that freed it up for, I didn't have peace in my spirit about going to school and working full time and being away from him from 6 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night and on Saturday for that
Mm.
long period of time. And so when this happened, it wasn't even like a week or two later. Like it was quick. So when that happened, I felt like that was the go ahead to just go to school full time. And so that's what I did.
Wow. So that's what you did. Interesting. What do you think about this idea, honesty? Because sometimes people could have seen that as like basically them saying, hey, well, if you leave, you're not going to be able to work here anymore. Seeing that as almost like as a rejection, as something that could have defeated them. But it sounds like you turned it into something different for you.
Well, I just knew first of all that I had to go see about my son. That wasn't an
Right.
option. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Mhm.
so that it's like it wasn't even a thought. And then
Right.
I also had to sit back and I had to thank God because I wasn't happy at that job and
Mhm.
I didn't feel fulfilled. But it's like almost like sometimes in bad relationships, you just hold on a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And so I said I never would have broke up with them. So they had to break up with me. Yeah, because they had some good benefits. So I never would have just broke up. Oh, it would have been a long time.
You just would have stayed in that
Yeah.
thing. We just gonna stay in this relationship. But that's key. Honestly, I think that's good though. I think that's good. And hopefully people are catching that is that sometimes we have to realize I'm not being fulfilled in this relationship because we can have a relationship with a lot of things, not just people. We can have relationships with jobs, with organizations, with all types of stuff. But you realize that wasn't a fulfilling relationship, but you're like, hey, I'm gonna stay with it. We're gonna stick this
Mhm.
out. So you're like, okay, so it's almost, are you saying, do you feel like in order for you to have really pursued your gift that they had to break up with you? Like it needed to be a breakup.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
At that
That
time in
needed
my
to be.
life, yeah, I
Mhm.
did because now maybe if I didn't have children or something and I had time, then no, I feel like I could have did that and went to school at night or did something. But for that time in my life, I felt like because I had other main priorities. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I do feel that.
Okay. Okay. Because for you, it seems like, and hopefully people realize this, that you can have more than one value. That clearly you said it wasn't no choice. You had to go see about your son. Like that wasn't a choice. That was
Yeah.
your top priority. So it's almost like it provided you a way to both still have, obviously, be a mother to Chance, and still pursue what it was that you're like, okay, it's time for me to pursue this
Yeah,
passion.
because I did in between this time I did go talk to my pastor and I talked to it was husband and wife team. I talked to the wife and I just was like, I feel like God told me to go to hair school, but I did not have peace about being away from him all day long and on Saturday. And it just and so she was just like, well, honestly, maybe it's a good idea, but maybe it's not a God idea. And so she
Mhm.
was like, if it's God, you'll have peace about it. And she just gave
Mhm.
me, a couple of suggestions. And then so when the situation came and it was like, hey, if you leave, you don't work here anymore. I was like, okay, bye. And I
Right.
felt like that was freeing me up to do that. So
Mm.
I felt like that was supposed to, that it had to happen like that.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So it had to happen like that. Okay. And then what was your next step? Like from
I
there?
went to hair school, and when I went to hair school, I went full speed ahead because I didn't even know how to do it. And I didn't know how to like shampoo, so I was just really determined in hair school, and I went early. I stayed late. I finished earlier than expected, and they ended up asking me to go to instructor school. That when I was almost finished, they was like, "Well, what are your plans afterward? You know, won't you come to instructor school?" Because I had did such a good job, you know, being in school. And so I did that, and I went to instructor school. Now this is this is another turn. Now they asked me to go to instructor school. They offered to pay for it, and they offered me a job after. In
Wow.
between that time, um, that all went away. I ended up having to take a leave for a month, and another former student, she ended up coming back, and she ended up getting a job that I thought was supposed to be mine. Now that hurt my feelings a little bit, because then I was like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Or what am I doing? But what I realized is that that job didn't provide, it wasn't going to provide the growth that I needed. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like I would have been settling at that job. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Okay.
it ended up being a good thing.
Okay. Yeah, because at that point, when you say you didn't think that was going to provide the growth that you needed, so it's several different parts to unpack there. But what growth did you feel like you maybe would have needed at that time, or that you were able to get somewhere else?
Well, first of all, like I said, I was just now finishing hair school. So to
Mm-hmm.
go from that to being an instructor, I really don't feel like you don't have the experience or the knowledge or anything to really lead somebody else in this industry. You know what I'm saying? And then I almost felt like it was, and I'm not trying to like talk about anything, you know what I'm saying? But I just feel like it wouldn't have helped me grow. You know what I'm saying? I would have
Okay.
been more like a place filler, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes
Right.
sense.
Mm-hmm. That does make sense. That does make sense. Absolutely. Because you want to grow beyond kind of where you were and get more
Yes,
skills. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So but that's interesting though. I think that's important for people to kind of keep in mind that like first is like how can you be in a setting that's going to help you grow? Because when we think about birthing our gifts, we can discover that we have that gift or that passion, and then we have to further cultivate it. So we have to
Yes.
further nurture it and grow it. So that's what I'm hearing you say, that you wanted to be in an atmosphere, an environment that was going to help you to really further cultivate, further grow your talent.
Yes, because okay, that now I'm observing in some things. And one thing that I've observed over the years is that if you're not in your industry or in your field, or whatever you're doing, if you're not growing and evolving, you end up being resentful or bitter.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like it kind of eats away at you. You know what I mean? So I've seen it over different industries, different people. It's just like it's a must. You have to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, and so I never wanted to do that. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted
Mm-hmm.
to get stagnant, or because the world is constantly moving. Shoot, we spinning right
Absolutely.
now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
nothing sits still, you know. So
Right.
I mean, seriously. So it's
Mhm.
like
That's
if
true.
you're not moving and growing, it you'll never be happy, like ever.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I just that's key. I hope I just wanted to sit right there for a second because hopefully people are really getting that for real. No, that's serious. That's serious because it's like that is true. It's I think especially for people who really do strive for more, they really do have some ambition in them. That really is something in them that they want to see birth. It's gonna you people are gonna feel uneasy. Hopefully people know like if they're at a job and they're feeling uneasy, they're feeling restless, that it is something about that because that restlessness and that uneasiness, I absolutely love how you put that. That's going to turn into resentment and bitterness if it's not something that they do to like advance wherever they are, whatever it is they need to advance in whatever industry. So what do you think honesty for you, like, do you feel like even from the time maybe that you were young, that you had a sense of ambition, a sense of I want to keep growing? Like, I don't know. Do you feel like you were just born with that sense of, I just got to keep growing. I just got to keep going. Did somebody nurture that in you? It's like, where did that come?
I don't know. I really feel like it's I want to learn. I always want to know stuff. So I really feel like it's a natural curiosity to try to understand or figure out, like things or people or situations. I think I just have a thing that I want to understand, certain things.
Ah, I love that. I love it. So hopefully any parents that are listening in will realize that if they have a child who has a natural curiosity that they want to learn, they want to
Talk
understand, they have
all
a
the
desire
time.
for
I
that.
talk all the time. I talk all the time. Hey, so man, I be looking at people's mouths when I was younger. I was trying
So
to
when you were
figure it
younger,
out.
you were like, get it. Well, that's good though, because see that it sounds like that even from when you were younger, it helped you to continue to pursue what it is you wanted to do when you were older. That curiosity, that desire to learn, that desire to grow, all of that. That's great. So when you realize, so what was your next step when that part didn't work out to become an instructor, but you're like, hey, but that's maybe what it needed to be because you wanted to be in an atmosphere where you can grow. Where did you get that growth experience?
Okay, so that was it. It was another thing. I ended up going to a barbershop,
Okay.
and I right out of barber school, I went to a barbershop, and I ran into a girl that I went to high school with, and her and another one of her friends, they had a salon. And so we talked for a second. But when I was in barber school, they had always told us not to move around a lot and stuff like that. So I was trying to plant, like roots at the barbershop. But what I was noticing was, and here comes the word growth again, I was the only female in the shop with 3 guys, and I didn't cut hair. I did hair. Now it was a very fun environment, very fun. Like we had a ball. It was always, and I was. I ain't gonna say the center of attention, but I was the only girl in there, so I got a lot of attention. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it was nice. But
Uh-huh.
career-wise, I was like, I can't learn from any of these dudes about hair. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And
Mm.
so when I talked to the lady who had the shop, and or we had exchanged them because we went to high school together, and she, said they had a space over there, and and so I ended up going to her salon, which is crazy because she ended up leaving like a month or two later. Like,
Wow.
yeah, so I ended up going to her salon, and in that salon, I felt like I could grow because it was women in there who had been in the industry for years, and so just by being in that atmosphere and around them, I grew and learned. It challenged me more than a barbershop ever could.
Wow. Wow. It challenged you. So it sounds like that comes with growth. We have to put ourselves in a space where we can be challenged.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it possible, though, would you say for some people, regardless of what industry, that they can be in a space to be challenged and not be receptive to the challenge? Because I'm wondering, not only were you in that space, but from what I know of you, it seems like you are open to a challenge. Like you're not,
Yes. You
like
have to
you
be.
okay with that. Okay.
Yeah, I really do. And I think you have to either redefine or because sometimes some people could see things as like competition or especially if the other people are quote unquote better than you or which as far as head they were hands down better. You know what I'm saying, because they
Okay.
have been doing it.
Yeah.
So it is it you have to kind of be secure in the knowledge of levels. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand that we all not on the same level at the same time. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And it don't matter about age or where you feel like, you could be older than somebody, but way behind them. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I had to be comfortable in the fact of knowing, okay, this is what I can't do, this is what I can do, this is where I want to go. So
Mm-hmm.
this is how I have to get there. And you can't be concerned about if you feel somebody is further along. So that's important.
Wow, wow. That takes, honestly, I'd imagine that takes a lot of maturity and humility to be at that point to be like, okay, like I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to be challenged, and that's okay if somebody else is ahead of me. Like, like I love it. Like you just have to be okay with people being in different stages and be willing and open to learn from that, not be intimidated by that, or
Yeah.
not be. Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. So that's where some learning took place for you.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. And I'd imagine that these, so what you're talking about now, I feel like is mentorship. Like people have to know you can have mentors and people that you can learn from. So and I'm guessing
Yes.
they were willing to provide that for you.
Yes, yes, they were absolutely. Yeah, they were open and freely open with like with their knowledge and experience. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I appreciate that. Like I wouldn't even be half the stylist or person, you know what I'm saying, I am without those early mentoring things.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So for you, because I want to keep on going, because that, I mean, that was at one
Hey,
point.
that's
I
gonna
know
be the
you.
whole thing because it's gonna keep saying that, and every time it's gonna, I'm like, I went here so I could grow, and I went here so I could grow, and I'm serious. In the next job,
You say that's the thing. We gonna keep coming back to that. Like I went here so I can grow, and then you grew, and you kept on growing. So, but at that, so if I feel like when people are in a process, sometimes what I kind of want people to hear is that there could be some barriers and some challenges, and there are ways that people position themselves to grow. Like right, like you put yourself in environments that helped you to grow. You were open to challenges. You were open to be taught. But like, how did you handle, were there challenges? And
yeah,
you've already kind of talked about
there
some.
absolutely were challenges. It's like you
Okay,
said,
yeah, tell us about that.
there's always gonna be challenges and obstacles, and the main one is your mentality or how you think about something. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been it's like you really do have to humble yourself and you really do have to redefine certain things because what may look like a loss or something else can actually be an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So you really do, it is a lot of challenges, but you have to just really just be focused on the growth part of it or the the thing that you want the most. You know what I'm saying? And like I told you in the beginning, I never wanted to be stagnant. I never wanted because I saw what it did to people. You know, I never wanted that.
Mm. Listen, maybe unpack that a little bit. Can you say more about you saw what it did to people? What do you mean?
Yeah, like I said before, the resentment, the bitterness, the
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever saw people or it's almost like they mad about everything in the industry. Everything kind of it's like nothing right. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they do this
Mm-hmm.
like this, or this supposed to be like this, or you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
everything is just, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Like
I
they're
can't.
jaded or something. Like it's
Yeah,
something more than that. It's like what's got you mad at everything. It's like what's
yeah.
underneath that. Like you can tell it's just a overall kind of bitterness. Yeah.
Yes, and when I started to unpack it, in my mind, it was okay. The opportunity for growth isn't there, or they feel, you know
Mm,
what I'm saying. And so,
yeah.
and if you're not constantly changing or evolving, and in my industry, it's always changing. Well, that's every industry, I imagine. But
Mm,
so you have to be open to change
mm.
and evolution. You know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. You have to be open to change and evolution. Yeah. And then it seemed like another word that you said is be open to redefining and redefinition. So
Mhm.
then, so you're not holding yourself back. So something that seemed like a loss or a rejection, see it maybe even as a blessing and an opportunity. Like,
Yes.
okay, okay.
Yeah, because okay, so let me fast forward after that. I
Hmm.
ended up moving to DC and I was working in the salon. Now, mind you, I have been out of school at least 10 years by now. I've worked as an instructor in two different barber colleges. No, three different. Two in Arkansas and one in Maryland. I've worked in a few different salons and I had clientele. Now, what I did was I ended up basically interning, working for free, quote unquote, at an African salon. And this lady, she did Eliana Van Zant's hair. She came up like with her own hairline. She was like really big in the industry. Now, a lot of people who they felt had already, been quote unquote successful in their career, or they wouldn't go do that for free for somebody or go work under somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of the most amazing experiences. You know what I'm saying? To
Mm-hmm.
not to mention just a whole nother culture. And a lot of African Americans, we don't even get the opportunity to work in a space with, you know what I'm saying, people from Africa. And
Mm-hmm.
so I redefined that whole experience. You know what I'm saying? And I looked at it as a blessing, first of all, and
Yes.
then just appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by redefine. You have to,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what may look like something can be something else. So, you know. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I love like you had that openness to it. Because if you weren't open to that, or maybe just thinking like, oh, other people wouldn't be, and like all of that being concerned about how other people would handle that situation or other people would see it, you could have probably missed out on a substantial blessing, right? Or substantial
Yeah.
opportunity.
Oh yeah, I absolutely would have. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that it was so funny because the first time I was like braiding hair, I had to take down like one braid like 10 times. Like it is, she would say, if it's not perfect, take it down. Like if it's not perfect, take it down. Like that was the only instruction. If it's not perfect, take it down. And I'm like, okay, it's not
So that
perfect,
was
take
the
it down.
only instruction. That was it.
And to think that you've been doing hair for, like I said, 10, 11, 12, 13 years, and to know that you've been doing it wrong for 10, 11, 12, 13 years, that's an adjustment too. So you could be
Wow.
successful in doing something like the incorrect way.
Right. You had to like think about that. Oh man, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Wow. How did you navigate that moment of when you realized you were in that position, receiving instruction in that way after all of this time experienced in your career, but also there was a different type of growth. So how did you kind of deal with that adjustment?
Well, at that time, I was determined to grow, so
Okay.
I wasn't in my feelings, and it was like, okay, if it's not perfect, take it down. But I did notice that sometimes we could try to make adjustments to instruction. You know what I'm saying? Or like because I was trying something else, and I'm like, well, I'm not. I've been doing it this way for so long, or you know,
Mm,
it's just we get so used to something that we could revert back a little bit, you know. So I had to be like, no, if it's not perfect, take it down. You know, like I don't
yeah.
know. You have to kind of
Mhm. Yeah. So you had to stay with her instruction. That's
yeah,
powerful. You had to stay with her instruction, even though you knew, like, oh, this is the way I've been doing it. And you found yourself trying to go back to that. But it's reminding you, I'm here to grow. I'm here to learn. Let me see what she's saying, even though it's different from what I know.
yes.
Wow.
And it's
Wow.
proven that what she's done. Like I had to take a look at, like you have to honestly look at where you are, look at where the world is. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I had to realize, I had to say, okay, if you've been doing anything for a number of years, are you the best or are you good enough? You know what I'm saying? Are you growing? And if not, why?
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Who would you consider the best? And what are they
Mhm.
doing that you're not doing? Yeah. So I had to
Mhm.
ask myself all them questions, you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
look at it. And if it was people that I thought were the best, if they had a class, I went to their class.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So you said it's like you did your research.
I
You had to do
did.
your research and learn and grow. So as you were doing that, were you developing like a specialty? Like, did you decide you wanted to go into a certain like aspect, I guess, of hair? I'm trying to get to the natural hair
Yeah.
conversation.
So
I'm
I
trying to,
started
yeah.
doing locks. So I started focusing
Okay.
more on locks and sister locks
Okay.
and micro locks and stuff like that.
Okay. What made you decide to make that a path or a specialty?
Well, I just love that it's number one, it's our natural hair, and I just love that. I don't know. It was when I went to DC and I went in the salon. It was I had never been to an all natural salon, and I just love everything about it. Just a space for us, by us, like, and not where you were smelling all the chemicals of like either relaxers or colors. You know, where it just was.
Hmm.
I that it just drew me in.
Wow, just a totally different experience. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because
And
I
it was
imagine it is, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was about to say it was what I felt like I had been working my way toward.
Okay. Yeah. It's like you really connected with it. You could tell,
Yes.
like, this
No,
is it.
When I was in Arkansas, I had, like I said, I was talking to my pastor, and I really like to talk through my feelings and try to work them out and see like why do I feel a certain way or where is this coming from. So I had a thought about, like, I was like, man, because I had been a teacher and an instructor, and because I
Mhm.
felt like I was I I could relay some of the things in here to other people, to help them understand it. I felt like I could help people, and I said, man, I could have a salon, and I said I could, I feel like I could help the clients too, and I said I could maybe charge commission or something, but it's like my mind didn't understand it because I had never seen it, but it's like I wanted it, but I didn't even know it was there. I can't explain it. But it was like
Yeah.
I had it was kind of like the taste was in my mouth, but I couldn't.
Mhm.
I don't know. And
Yeah.
so when I
Yeah.
went to Maryland and I walked in that salon, it was like this is what
This
I
is
did
it.
not know existed. Like I literally was
Ah,
like that.
I got it. I
I was
got it.
like,
So
oh
it's
my
like it
god,
was so, yeah, and then you
yeah,
saw, you knew that was connected with the taste you had in your mouth or the appetite you had in your spirit. It was something that was bubbling up on the inside because it seemed like it was hard to put language to. It was hard to have an image for it, but you
yeah,
knew it was there. But then when you saw it, you're like, that's it.
yeah.
Wow, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So walk us through how from that moment did you get to the Loc Lab? Because that's where you're at now, the Loc Lab. So walk
That's
us from that
hilarious.
to
So
the Loc
from that moment, after I saw that, I said, okay, this is it. So the owner of that salon, she had 4 locations at the time. So, and she had been in the industry over 20 years. So you can imagine how many people, men and women, have matriculated in and out of her salon.
Wow.
And you could imagine maybe some of her leeriness or weariness about people. And so um I another stylist that was in the salon, she had mentioned that basically people was coming there to basically take her ideas and go open the salon. Yes. And you
My
can see
gosh.
it that's what happened. You know what I'm
Like
saying?
literally, this is what was happening. People,
Literally, like down the street, around the corner, around the block. Literally. Not a
wow.
game. And so,
Wow.
so being me, I was like, I'm opening the shop. So what I'm gonna have to do to make you okay with this? You know what I'm saying? Because it's happening. Because this is
Yeah,
what I like. This is what
right.
I did not know existed. And she was
Mm.
like, she was like, well, at least yours in Arkansas and not down the street.
Man, at least it's not down the street. You were upfront with it, like, okay, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I was like, this is what I feel like I was being led to through, so
Right.
I mean, I'm
Right.
not here to steal your stuff, but I'm opening up a salon. Like that's happening.
Like
But by
that's
the
gonna
time I
happen.
left, she was just like, honesty. She said, so many people have come through here saying that they want to open a salon, but she saw that I've done the work. You know what I'm saying? She was like, but you've actually done the work. So she is
Mhm.
like, she gave me her blessing.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like really the way to do it because it sounds like even when you notice that from when you walked in that this is what I want, it's not like you just was there for a month or so and then went on and said, I got it now. It's like you
Oh
really
no. I
learned
started
from her.
3 years.
3 years.
Mm,
Wow. 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 What do you feel like you learned about yourself in that process that like, man,
I
this
could
was
do
just
hard things.
I love it. I can do hard things.
I
Wow.
could do
Wow.
hard things.
Yeah, yeah. And y'all, that's true. That's true about honesty. I'm just always impressed. It's like you just do it. It's like it just seems like you jump into it. You like, hey, this is what I'm doing. At least that's what it looked like on the outside. It's just
That's what
like,
it feels
hey,
like
this
for
is the
me.
vision. That's what it feels like too. So you were in DC. You trained under this person who was seasoned. It sounded like not only in locks and natural hair, but also business, right?
Yeah.
Who is seasoned in that. And then you studied under her for 3 years after already having been in the industry for 10 to 13 years. And then what made you say, okay, I'm going to bring this to Arkansas and tell us about even how you came to the name, the Loc Lab in Arkansas.
Well, okay, so after that, when I first went to that salon, I knew I wanted to open a salon, but I didn't know how or what kind, So what brought me to the Loc Lab after that, I wanted to study like people. And so I started like just reading books and going to different conferences about even just about communication, about marketing, I started doing like the foundation what I thought was the foundational background stuff for my mental, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm emotional and I feel a lot of feelings, like a lot of them. So I wanted to put myself in the best space to be able to handle it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but even
absolutely.
though I don't know what I'm handling, I think we just do that to make ourselves feel better. But I wanted to know, because I know a lot of stuff is more, you know what I'm saying, inside than out. So I really wanted to be able to understand and study people if I was going to work with them and for them.
Oh,
So that was the next step.
I love that. So you wanted to be able to understand people. So it sounds like just like really to tie back to what you said earlier in terms of your gift package, that it goes beyond the skill of doing hair and natural hair and locks and all of that. Like it sounds like you also equipped yourself from a business perspective and from a people
Skill is
perspective.
almost the last thing, honestly.
Okay. Huh.
Like for real. Skill, because I'm not discounting like talent, because talent is necessary, but skill, like it only take you like the very minimum, and especially in this industry. Yeah, if you're skilled, you'll get like people from time to time, but people want consistency. They want to know that you're gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I've noticed like some people, they could be very skilled, but they won't be. You know what I'm saying? The other parts of it. So the skill, yes, you need skill, but you need way more things before the skill. Like
yeah, you say it's way more than just a skill and the talent of actually doing hair.
That could, like when I was in barber school, they was getting requests, like they knew how, they had clients back then, but they wasn't able to translate it into a career. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, and that's why I wanted to open a shop too, because I saw so many stylists go to hair school, go to barber school, expecting to be able to make it in this industry, only to realize it's like the juggling act. You know what I'm saying? And so I've seen a lot of them eventually just choose other paths, which is nothing wrong with that. But if this is what you truly wanted to do, I wanted to help other people be able to do that. So that's my class.
Oh, so with the Loc Lab, like, yeah, so it's yours, it's your business, it's your thing, you're doing it. It is not just about the type of experience, because I won't tell y'all, look, go in the Loc Lab and feel like it's a whole experience. It's not just, okay, I'm going to get my hair done. Like, no, it's an experience. So it's not only providing an experience for your customers, but it's also, it seems like part of your vision is to also provide a space for growth for other hairstylists as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's the main focus.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Yes, that's one of the main focuses, is to provide a space for stylists to be able to grow and not have to worry about trying to get clients, what products to use, you know what I'm saying? Because all of that will come, but they're able to focus on growing, you know what I'm saying? Just the trade. Because in hair school, they teach you a lot about passing a board and stuff, but it's a short window, you know what I'm saying? And like we said, the industry is always changing, so it's always something to know, so I wanted to provide a space where they can come and learn and grow and not have to worry about some of the other things.
Right. Yeah. Because like you say, that stuff will come later, but you want them to be able to learn and grow in this area and kind of be able to pace themselves with the aspects of what they need to learn. I think that's awesome. So say honesty, somebody is listening in and they're kind of where you were probably 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, where they know this is something that they want to do. They love the natural hair concept. Like it's something, but they know it's kind of like you, but they weren't able to put it into words or have an image for it. But how would they know that maybe I need to come learn from Honesty? What would be a good fit for you?
Oh, a good fit for me, if they love natural hair, like natural hair and locks, sister locks, micro locks, just somebody that want to grow. Like I said, that's my main thing. I want to grow and learn. So somebody that's interested in growing and learning and just being a good part of the industry and, just helping them move forward.
Okay, so if they're open to moving forward, their areas, natural hair, locks, all of those, and they're open to learning, because that's a big part that we talked about, right? Is having the maturity and also the humility to be in a space of being a learner.
Yeah.
Right? So, being teachable. So that's good. That's good. Now, what if they haven't necessarily started hair school yet or something? Can they still come and talk with
Oh
you?
yeah, absolutely. Because
Okay.
you don't need a hair, and that was another thing. You don't need a license for this. That I wanted to get the licenses just to, just to I'll be able to help more people. But as
Right.
far as
Yeah.
Arkansas, you don't need a license for braiding and locks. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
they don't teach you that in hair school. So it's basically you
Yeah,
go to
that's
hair
what I'm
school
gonna
to
ask that.
learn
Okay.
other things to do
Okay.
braids. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So yes, if they haven't went to hair school, it's perfect.
Hmm.
You don't need hair school or barber school or anything.
Okay, awesome. So I was gonna ask that. So when people go, and is it like that, like regardless of if it's Arkansas or
No, I
DC
think it's state
area?
by state. I think
Okay,
it's state by
okay,
state.
okay,
And
okay.
when I first started, you needed a barber license to braid in a salon. So that's why I got a barber license. Well, you needed a barber or a cosmetology license. But since then, thanks to I think Nivea and a couple of people, they advocated to where now you can get like a natural hair certificate, or you don't need that to in order to do locks and braids and natural hair services.
Okay, so people advocated for that. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so honesty, what's your next steps? What is your next? You've been growing and evolving over the years, all the things. Now you're at Loc Lab here in Arkansas. You got your spot, y'all. It's a nice spot. You all see the background. I'll see the pictures and everything. That's her spot. That's where she's at. But what do you see as your next step, your next chapter with the Loc Lab?
Oh goodness. Honestly, the next I want to help stylists. You know what I'm saying? That's my next step. I want to help stylists grow and learn in the industry. I want to so that's maybe by classes or something like that, and just I don't know, providing a safe space just to continue to do that, growing. So I don't know exactly what that look like, but I just know growth is involved. Like
I love it. Growth is involved, a safe space, and it's like you literally have the physical space for that to be able to happen. So it seems like all the details will start to work themselves out as you move along. I think that's awesome, honestly. I'm so glad this is being provided in the state of Arkansas. I think it's so many young people that I come across who they're struggling to really get into what it is that they know is they're passionate about on the inside, and they're struggling to really get into it and have a space. And so you're like, hey, I had a space. I had a space. You just like, hey, if you're interested, willing to grow, be teachable, come my way. How can people find out about you? How can they kind of connect with you?
okay, they can connect. Our website is theloclab.info. Our email address is booknow@theloclab.info. And our telephone number is 901-501 LOCS, LOCS, or 5627.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So they can email you, go to the website, they can call you. Are you on any social media? You have on Facebook or anything?
Yes, I'm on Facebook. Oh, they can stop by 3108 Horizon Drive, Suite 5. I'm on Facebook and TikTok, theloclab.info, and
Okay.
Instagram. I haven't posted in a long time.
Okay. What's up there? Hey, it's up there. I love it. So it's got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then you say they can drop by as well. So you say at the Loc Lab, and what city is that in?
We are in Bryan, Arkansas.
Bryant, Arkansas.
I know, a
Okay.
lot fun.
There you go. I love it. He was like, Bryant, Arkansas. That's where she's at. The Loc Lab. Y'all check her out. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Go to the website. You said the Loc Lab .info. All right. Wonderful. Honesty. Thank you so much for just sharing with us today. I appreciate you sharing your journey.
My pleasure.
Learn something new about people. I've like been knowing you since for what, like 10, 13 years or so. And like I still
No,
learned
before
more.
years. Since 25. Like, yeah.
I'm like, man. So I'm glad so I can learn more because you're right, it has been longer than that. But man, I get to learn more about you today. And so I'm just excited to see what God continues to do with you in terms of providing a space to grow, a safe space for people to grow. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for your time. It's been another edition of Birthing the Gifts. It's a Process media series. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see y'all next time.